You're listening to Becoming Wildly Resilient, brought to you by the University of Kentucky Human Resources Health and Wellness Program. In this series, we'll explore a variety of well-being topics with experts from the university community in physical, emotional, nutritional, and financial health. Join us, and together we'll discover how we can thrive at work, home, and beyond. Welcome everyone to the first episode of Becoming Wildly Resilient. I'm Jakob Hester and I'll be your host. I'm a wellness specialist for UK HR Health and Wellness, and I'm a naturally curious person. So I want Becoming Wildly Resilient to be a podcast where we'll explore various areas of our well-being by delving into topics related to physical, emotional, nutritional, and financial health. I'll do this by talking with different experts from around the university, many of which are my colleagues in HR. So if we look at the name Becoming Wildly Resilient, wildly is a reference to that wildcat spirit that we have at the University of Kentucky. It's the grit we need to keep moving forward. Resilience is our ability to persevere and to be at our best. So that's the grace that we're looking for as well. So you have this play of grit and grace that I hope comes out throughout this podcast as I have these conversations with experts. So I'm excited to go on this journey with you. So be sure to listen through the end of the episode to learn how you can connect with us and let us know the types of topics you'd like to see covered in the future. So our guest today is Jackie Hanson, certified health coach, yoga instructor, KORU mindfulness teacher, and tobacco cessation specialist for UK HR Health and Wellness. And we're going to be talking about how to be more honest with yourself about what has or maybe has not worked for you in the past. And so we're maybe not glamorizing the past anymore. Thanks for joining me, Jackie, and thanks for being our first guest. Before we dive into today's topic, just tell the listeners a little more about yourself and what you do.
Hi there, I'm Jackie. I am a health coach with UK Health and Wellness. And more importantly, I think my passion is helping people live and be at peace with life and the struggle and the joy, and being that container that holds it all and somehow has the motivation to keep going every day, shining and doing our best. I'm a single mom of 2 teenagers. I own a yoga studio. I work full-time at UK. I've had just as many struggles as I have had joy in my life, as all of us have. And I just hope that today's short session will give a little bit of hope and a smile on everybody's face, and know that we're all in this together and we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, thanks. Jackie is one of my colleagues and definitely the calming presence in our office. So we're lucky to have her and lucky to share this with you all as well. So Jackie, something I've kind of commonly seen or heard is this desire to return back to normal or to the way things were. However, you and some other experts are advocating for people to take sort of a different approach or a different mindset. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I myself included have realized that I was wishing and hoping that things would go back to the way they were before COVID-19 or the pandemic. And then as I reflected more, it's as though I had this reckoning about really the truth of what my life was before that. And actually, I realized that being at home without distraction, without all the things that occupy my time and my mind, were not there. And it really brought me to the truth. And the truth was that I have a choice, and we all had a choice. Are we going to make the best of the situation, or are we going to stay in the negative and the complaining and the wishing that it were something different than it is? And I just realized that there's no going back. It's a waste of energy wishing and dreaming that things were different than they are.
So what is there like a reason why we kind of look back and like look at normal and kind of glamorize it basically? Like what's problematic about that?
Well, it isn't always problematic. The problem arises when we can't see things for what they actually were. For example, I have two teenagers. They are in sports and clubs, and I never realized how much I enjoyed not doing that, not signing them up for every single thing, not driving everywhere, here, there, and all over the place. And just like at, your normal everyday activities, the thing that we most distract ourselves with is usually the thing we need to kind of look at. And when we're completely distracted and busy, we're not living mostly truthfully and in harmony. So when I think about the past and glamorizing it, the comfort that comes with being quote unquote normal doesn't always equate to a fruitful life. You can look at past relationships, past work habits, past health habits. And with each category, you could find yourself wanting what you were doing instead of looking at all those things and figuring out, what could I add to it? What could I do more or better, or even what could I take away that would make my life even more harmonious?
Yeah. So to me, it kind of sounds like that growth mindset. So is that something that ties into this pretty well?
Absolutely. It's as though we had this invitation to either wake up and make choices and move the way love moves, or we get stuck or stay stuck and we move the way fear and anxiety depletes us.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can kind of see this energy too around the university with the president's initiative to reinvent normal. So that's kind of the term that he's been using as we're heading back to school in the fall, whether that be with students or employees, either one. So I think that idea, that's why I literally like this topic for us to talk about, because we can see that energy not only within our university, but kind of nationwide as well, taking that growth approach to it and seeing these things as an opportunity rather than seeing as like, oh, I just really wish we could go back to X, whatever X may be for you.
Yeah, as humans, we are so creative. We have the capacity to come up with brilliant ideas, brilliant solutions. And this is our time. Like you were saying, it's time to reinvent normal. Reinvention takes creativity, takes passion, takes patience. And I love the idea of reinventing things because we're finding ways to get along in life in incredibly different ways we've never even thought of. And it should bring people so much joy and excitement and appreciation for how each individual has this immense creativity and spark to make all our lives better and to stick together knowing that we can create something amazing all together.
Yeah, I think that the idea of creativity, I think that's been really energizing for me personally. And I think that's something that's helped get through this time, particularly, and look towards the future and explore different things and learn new things that I wasn't previously doing. Even this podcast is a really good example of that within our department, and just taking that creativity and applying that to what we're doing and reinventing normal. This is something we had thrown around in the past, but never really came to fruition. And now it's something we're exploring and doing. So we're really excited about doing things like that. So what can people really do then when they catch themselves sort of longing for the way things were? Is there a way to like rewire our brains to sort of change that mindset?
Yeah, there's lots of research around how our brains and minds work. And it's true that we want to stay comfortable and safe. And in doing that, our minds and our brains think that if it was back to quote unquote normal, that we would be comfortable and safe. When in actuality, if we took a little bit of time to pause when we feel that urge or that pull to want something from the past, could we see it and observe it from a higher perspective and really notice and question and reflect what really would make this thing, this relationship, this habit more in alignment with how I want to feel, how I want to live, and what my values are.
Yeah, that's good. And you said kind of three things right there: to notice, to question, and then to reflect. So I think those are kind of three good concrete steps that I even personally could take as we continue to move forward, no matter what things might be in our way, or change in general, and how that can be scary because it is taking us out of our comfort zone. So kind of using those three steps, I think, would be really helpful, being able to notice what's going on, to question what was and was not working, and then to reflect on that and how do I move forward with this to continue to be resilient, really, and to respond to those things that happen to us that we have no control over. And it's more about our response rather than it is what is actually happening to us sometimes, because there are going to obviously be things that are out of our control for the most part.
Yeah. And the great thing about living with a bit more neutrality, there's a great story about the farmer and his horse and his son. You could look that up, but it's basically everyday things that happened, circumstances arise, and we label them as good or bad. And actually, if we think back on our lives, on all the things that we thought were going to be terrible, we might look back and realize how much we've learned or grown from the experience, and it isn't as bad. So especially during this time, it seems so scary, so uncertain, and nobody has the answers, that could we look at every moment, every day with a little less judgment about ourselves and others and the circumstances? Because we don't know that in a month from now, 3 months from now, a year or two from now, really, is it good or bad, whatever it is. And that's one thing that has really helped me personally. And I hope that people can use that in their lives every day to lessen the grip and to give more freedom in the unknown.
Yeah, I think that's an important point too, is almost like that humility of knowing what we know and what we don't know. And we don't always have the answer. And that's kind of, it seems like the point that you're speaking to here. Really, again, kind of a different, interesting mindset that we don't often take. And I always find myself longing for the perfect answer for things when sometimes there isn't one, and we have to experience it, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So where would you say then listeners could dive deeper on this topic? So you mentioned like the story on the farmer. Are there some other things like books or websites or anything like that you would recommend to people?
Well, I have been listening to Brene Brown's Unlocking Us podcast, and she has just so many nuggets of hope in her podcast. She also brings a smile to my face. But, I kind of feel like this is our invitation to really map out what we want moving forward and moving the way love and freedom and joy moves, not the way fear and anxiety would move. So getting clear on what we want, maybe we could use a vision board, or there's a great book called Writing Down Your Soul by Janet Connor, and it questions us. It questions intentions. It questions habits. It questions relationships. It questions your job, passion. And if we get clear on what we want and how we want to live, this is our chance. We could look at this as like a brand new beginning. This is our chance to create something completely new and come up with amazing solutions to whatever we really are called to. But I do have to say this. In this situation of the pandemic, it is so clear how important our health is. If we do not take care of ourselves, we don't have the energy to create something new. If we don't take care of ourselves, our immune system goes down, and that always correlates to getting sick at some point or another. So taking care of ourselves, putting our health first, and I know I'm a health coach, so people might be rolling their eyes at me saying this, but it is so true. Because at this moment, it doesn't matter what you can afford, what you can't afford, what your job is, what your responsibilities are. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
I think that's a good point. So what for our UK employees, retirees, and their spouses out there, what internal resources do you have to maybe dive deeper on this as well, or to help you find or unlock those things like you were mentioning?
At UK, we are so lucky. We have access to health coaches, exercise and fitness specialists, dietitians, counselors, therapists, and we all need to take advantage of these resources. Another great resource is financial well-being. We are all struggling in some way or another, and there's so many resources within UK to help. Outside of that, being out in nature, going out hiking now that the parks are open, and spending time with family. It's as though we want to just simplify or minimalize the outside things so that we can see and feel and be more within ourselves and within our families, or whatever that is that feels most authentic.
Yeah, sounds like kind of getting back to the basics to me.
Mm-hmm.
So to conclude our conversation then, if you hope listeners take one single thing away from this episode, what would that one take-home message be?
I think being kind to yourself and others, staying open, and moving the way love moves, not the way fear moves.
That's great. I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us and being our first guest here. A lot of those resources that Jackie mentioned, we're going to talk to a lot of those experts on this podcast each month. So we've got some other programmatic things that are coming up as well. We've got some shared well-being breaks that we're doing on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. through the end of July. And so those we're going to be on our YouTube channel, so you can listen through the end here and you'll figure out how to search for us. But if you go to YouTube, you can just type in UK HR Health and Wellness and you should be able to find us there. So you can join those live or catch those videos later. So there's a lot of good content on there that are coming out. You'll see the remaining things that'll come out will be things like learning proper breathing patterns during exercise, why laughter is the best medicine, and a tutorial for making quick and easy hummus. So check out some of the other great things that are coming down the line. And we hope you join us in the future for more episodes and talk to some of those other experts on a bunch of different well-being topics. So thanks again, Jackie, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to Becoming Wildly Resilient, a podcast series from the University of Kentucky Human Resources Health and Wellness Program. If you enjoyed this episode, you can listen and subscribe to future episodes wherever you find your podcasts. The UK HR Health and Wellness team, consisting of certified health coaches, fitness experts, registered dietitians, and wellness specialists, offer a wide range of online and in-person programming to University of Kentucky employees, retirees, and their spouses. You can connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching @UKY Wellness or email healthandwellness@uky.edu with questions or suggestions for future episode topics. To learn more about well-being benefits offered by University of Kentucky Human Resources, visit www.uky.edu/hr/wellbeing. Live well.